Greetings and welcome to my presentation, Creating a STEAM Textbook as a Learning Tool. I'm Jennifer Swan and I'm a professor of biological sciences at Lehigh University. So with a nod to Eddie Lawrence, let's get started. You say you're teaching a class and you need a textbook. You say you found that book and you're happy. You like it, your chair likes it, and the book says all the things you need to say. You say that despite its perfection, the students just won't buy the book because of the cost. So you decide to make your own textbook. After all, how hard can it be? And you write that textbook and it's perfect. It's the perfect book written in the perfect way as only you can do. And it's free. It's an open source book. It's free to all who need it. But somehow the students are still not reading the book because it's boring. Is that what's troubling you, friend? Well, buck up. I can help you. The perfect solution is right under your nose. You just need to find an artist. And here's the best part. You don't have to go far. Artists are all around you. This summer, I participated in a STEM project. STEAM is STEM plus art. The project was supported by a 3-year grant awarded to Lehigh University by the Mellon Foundation to support the digital humanities. The goal of the grant is to pair scientists and artists to enhance teaching both disciplines. My project was to create illustrations of textbook chapters I had been creating with students. The artists would be students and the audience would be students, so it was a work created by students for students. My involvement in the project grew out of a technical error. I have been teaching behavioral neuroanatomy for years and designed the class so that the students chose the topics they wanted to learn about. I would present an overview and they would follow with a proposal on the topic. Due to a technical error, the class dropped enrollment, but the chair asked me to teach it anyway as the students needed it as a writing intensive to complete their degree. I had to rearrange the course to accommodate the low enrollment, and I had developed a real interest in open access materials and was curious about how to develop them. So I decided to try to create a textbook working with students to create the chapters. We created chapters with teams of students. The students chose the topics, researched them, started with review articles in respected peer-reviewed scientific journals, and then integrated the material, identifying key concepts, creating glossaries of terms, and providing examples. In the process, they learned a variety of skills: how to read scientific articles, how to dumb it down so that the material it contains is accessible to those outside the field. They also read and critiqued each other's work to ensure accessibility and clarity. We also included assessment checkpoints where the reader could determine if they had learned the material. We spent a class meeting with Holly Zakos, a senior instructional technologist at Lehigh University, who introduced the students to Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. Each student was required to generate a series of multiple choice or true-false questions of their work. We decided against open-ended questions because who would grade it? The questions had to be at the top of the thinking pyramid, complex enough to make the reader access what they had learned, but straightforward enough that the answers could be loaded in the text. I love generating this skill in students, and I now use it as a teaching tool in my other classes. In fact, I learn the most when I'm making up a test. But even with the assessment, the text alone was too dry. Pictures needed to be added to convey the complex ideas we presented. As we searched the internet for suitable figures, and we found plenty, but few were open access. And those that were less than adequate. Here are 2 examples that we found for the chapter on circadian rhythms. These figures are accurate and fairly detailed, but either uninteresting like the one on the left, or far too busy like the one on the right. I was already collaborating with a humanities professor who was part of the grant. She was interested in including me in more of the digital humanities work and introduced me to a wonderful professor in Lehigh's art department, Deirdre Murphy, whose work encompasses a variety of scientific disciplines. Deirdre and I hit it off right away, and the project was born. Deirdre recruited two students she was working with, Sarah Hussein, an undergraduate majoring in behavioral neuroscience and art, and Viola Yu, a graduate of Cornell University, who majored in environmental science and sustainability and is currently taking courses in art at Lehigh. Both are interested in doing medical scientific art full time. The grant supported the students and the faculty for the summer. It also provided funds for art supplies for the students and even money for brains and dissecting equipment. The latter was very helpful. I had sheep brains sent to the artists' homes, and I led dissections from my house using my iPhone propped on a phone stand to direct the dissections. It really helped the students to have hands-on experience with actual tissue. That's me dissecting on the left and Viola's interpretation of her dissection on the right. We started with brain basics. I lectured on the cells of the brain and the neurotransmitters, brain chemicals that connect and induce neural function. The students interpreted these concepts with drawings and paintings. I've given two examples here. Sarah's on the left and Viola's on the right. The interpretations are accurate and precise, but more importantly, they convey abstract concepts. In the image on the left, shadow and light help provide depth and clarity to the concept of glia wrapping themselves around axons, while on the right, the image conveys the effect of endorphins released during activity, the runner's high. These ideas take paragraphs to discuss in text, but are instantly conveyed in an image. After a few weeks of exploring the basics, we moved on to the chapters themselves. Here is one of the examples I mentioned earlier, reimagined. On the left is the open access image of complex molecular processes that drive circadian rhythms. But the image on the right was created by Sarah Hussein on the same material. As you can see, it's much more engaging through the simple combination of color and shape, and it's animated, drawing you into the process. And since I am a neuroscientist, I was really anxious to get the brain images right. The image on the left was open sourced. The image is flat and uninteresting and does not include the detail required. The image on the right was created by Viola. Her work includes depth and shape. The complex pathways are clearly represented in color, with green for stimulatory and red for inhibitory, that allows you to tell their function at a glance. I have to say it's remarkable. Even in textbooks, few images come close to what she accomplished. The students also did their own art, adding to their portfolios. I learned to give them space to explore their own ideas of the brain and its function. These are just two beautiful examples of the work they generated at their leisure over the summer. Professor Murphy also introduced us virtually to two amazing artists. Professor Rebecca Kamen, who is an artist in residence in the Computational Neuroscience Initiative and the Department of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Pennsylvania. Her work is a fascinating use of plastics to illustrate biological concepts like the interlacing circles of the cell shown in this slide. And we met Shelley Thornstein, an independent artist based in Philadelphia who uses print to illustrate the layers found in thought and memory as shown in this slide. Both artists were gracious enough to share their work and thought processes and to critique our work. One silver lining of the pandemic was that we could spend time with the artists without traveling, and they were able to work with us on more than one occasion. We are planning to invite them again for an actual on-campus exhibit once the pandemic is over. We had planned an exhibit in Lehigh's library to showcase our work. As the university was closed, we created a virtual exhibit that allowed people outside the university to attend. On our opening night, we had 50 people in attendance. The project is still open for viewing. Lehigh also created a storyboard on our work for the alumni bulletin. I have been presenting this work at open access meetings like this one, and I am preparing a manuscript for publication. So I hope I've shown you how artists can enhance your textbooks, especially in STEM. And true confession, I've been working in science for decades, and it wasn't until this project that I realized how important art is for conveying abstract concepts. The picture to the right, created by Viola, emphasizes this point. Many journals have begun to include visual abstracts as part of their manuscript submission process. I've seen many poorly created versions, and I encourage STEM professors everywhere to partner early and often with our artistic colleagues to not only create these graphical abstracts, but to enhance the basic illustrations. To this end, we plan to offer a class in the spring that will bring artists and scientists together to work on a variety of projects. Some will be practical, like those I've shown you, but we really hope the collaboration sparks creative endeavors that bring science to life in ways we cannot imagine. I hope you will join me in encouraging STEAM at your institutions. Thank you.